Thank you, Vice Minister. Now we're going to hear a panel discussion powered by EIT Urban Mobility. This organization has more than 300 partners working in the public scientific center. European Commission had 100 cities, smart cities, zero emissions, climate neutral cities by 2030, so that we don't have any negative impact on the climate by 2030. But these cities should do it before. Among those are Vilnius, Tauragė, Liepāja, Tartu. How are they doing, these cities, on becoming climate neutral by 2030? So the moderator, Anders Bengtsson, head of Innovation Hub North at EIT Urban Mobility.
Thank you for having us here. First time for EIT Urban Mobility to be in this amazing, I'd say, forum. And we are really happy also to be able to host this panel here today on the mission cities. As I think we were described, EIT Urban Mobility is one of 9 knowledge and innovation communities funded by the EU. And this one, Urban Mobility, is focusing, of course, on mobility, transport, but not least the push for change towards sustainable mobility and more livable cities. So therefore, I'm also very happy to have a great panel with us today. We're going to start with Andrius Grigonis. He's our Vice Mayor of Vilnius City Municipality. Welcome. And we're moving away up to Latvia, and there we have Inisa Andersson, who is head of City Development Committee of Riga City Council. Welcome. We can move even further up north, and there we will find Eva Kilar from Estonia, head of Mobility Development and Investment Department, Estonian Ministry of Climate. Welcome. But why not move back to Lithuania again and Tauragė? And here we have with us Dovydas Kaminskas, Mayor of the Tauragė district. Welcome. Okay, so the EU mission cities, what is that? Well, very briefly, it's a tough challenge. It's going climate neutral for 2030, so there's been a number of cities actually asking to be these mission cities, but about 100 were chosen to do this, and they have written a commitment to become climate neutral 2030. So it's like tomorrow. First of all, since we are here in Vilnius, I'd like to start with you, Andrius. Climate neutrality, you did not find an easier challenge?
Well, first of all, I would like to start from the good news. As we all know, Vilnius won the Greenest Capital Award this year, which means that throughout 2025, we will be the greenest capital of Europe, which is not only a great honor, but as well a big responsibility, since we will have to justify this name and make much more efforts in this field in the future. This also shows that Vilnius is doing something right in terms of reducing climate change and promoting greenery itself. Talking about transport and mobility, here we have lots of things to do, and our research shows that, well, first of all, like our strategy, which was confirmed by City Council back in 2018, shows two main directions where we are heading to. So first, to reduce importance of using cars. Second is to promote alternative ways of moving, which includes public transport, walking, bicycles, micro-movement measures, as well as car sharing and other measures. So our data shows that we are not very happy with the current situation, since almost 48% of all trips in Vilnius are still made by car. Yeah. So this is not a very good result, and we are seeking that by 2030, this number reduced to up to 30%. Yeah, so the main challenge is we have also old public transport. We're still using trolley buses, which were made in country which is not existing anymore. I mean Czechoslovakia, so this is not good at all. Also, our average age of transport vehicle is 21 a year, which is a lot. So yeah, we have lots of things to do here. Also, infrastructure for public transport is not, network of it is not sufficient, and we are working to improve it and to get more separate lines for trolley buses and so on. And also solutions in the city development, here also very important. We need to more focus on create more social infrastructure, such as schools, kindergartens, as close to people's home as possible. So in this way, we will avoid traveling, which is not necessary. Yep. So shortly,
thank you for letting us in on your agenda, going climate neutral in 2030. There seems that there is a lot of things that you already have planning to do, and I guess it needs some resources and some focuses, and not least maybe political decisions to do it as well. But we'll come back to this. Okay. Staying in Lithuania, but going to Tauragė, do you feel that your challenge is, I mean, do you see the same challenges as maybe Vilnius, or is there similarities or something that is very different?
In a way, it's the same challenge, but the scale is different. Therefore, we have less challenges to reach that goal. If as you said, it's a very ambitious goal to reach the climate neutral until 2030. I don't know about Vilnius, but we are doing that, and hopefully we are as small as we are, we could reach it. But the more you go to the forest, the more trees you see and the more challenges you face. But that's where we are going. That's why we are the mission cities. That's why we are in this challenge and in this ambitious goal. And we have to be that small yard where we can try everything. And the main challenge right now is to understand how big the shift is going, not only in public transportation, but also in the everyday life of every person. Because when you think about the city with a lot of cars, but all of them electric, it's a different city than with a lot of cars that are diesel cars. So because if you can take out the pollution from from the city, it's going to be like a different world, and it doesn't mean that there will be less cars. It means that there will be more cars. That's where the public transportation comes in, and that's where all the infrastructure comes in. And where the challenges we are facing right now is, I think, is like we are creating the public transportation from kids transportation to school to public transportation, and we are in the face of a challenge to make sure that 90% of everyday traffic will be less than that, because 90% of all the journeys in our city is made by car. So that's a lot. So I think there is so many different ways you can work with that. Of course, when in the matter of municipality, it starts with infrastructure, with the transportation infrastructure. But I think that we have to look a different way at it, because it's a huge shift that's going on. And when we'll have like only electric cars, it's going to be even more infrastructural problems that we have today. That's why we have to work very, or I would say, very strictly politically what we're doing with our streets, and that's what Vilnius is doing, or when to narrow the streets to give more space for bicycle, to give more space for pedestrian. It's very hard because the level of cars it's big, and it's gonna get bigger because we can take out the pollution of it, which is the main reason why we don't like cars, right? But we're taking the one thing why we don't like cars in the city out of it. So we're going to have a lot of problems if you not change the mindset of the people, how they can travel to work, how the infrastructure will work in the city.
This is interesting. Now you're touching on the citizen engagement and the behavioral change, and of course that is something when we work as the EIT with the mission cities throughout the other cities in Europe, we always meet this as one of the first challenges, the engagement. But also, I need to ask you, challenges when you are sort of addressing this challenge now, it seems that you're also seeing new challenges coming with that and the change on the whole. We will come back to that as well, but lastly, Doras, I would like to ask you, two cities now in the same country, how are you collaborating?
Sorry, I didn't hear you because it's very...
I know it's a bit hard to hear, but yeah. Tauragė and Vilnius, how are you collaborating? Are you collaborating?
Oh yeah, we are collaborating, in the level of what's the next step, right? Because right now, I think we are just in the beginning stage, because we are preparing the plans for the climate neutrality plans on what we're gonna do, and so it's exchange because our sustainability advisor actually is living in Vilnius. And Dagne, she's got very good contacts, and we try to cooperate. But I think that mission cities, all 100 cities, in one way or another, we speak together because there is some conferences or some context to do that. And actually, we are planning to go to Liepāja, and we are missing here today. This is also the platform, for innovation as well. And that's one of the main reasons for the mission cities, for that mission at all, to bring all the ambitious people together and then have maybe a big, blast.
Good, thank you. Okay, so we know that about an average figure is when, in terms of the emissions from within a city, it's 40%. Somewhere coming from mobility and transport, so in terms of measures. So this is really something that we need to address, of course, the mobility and the transformation of transport. Ineze, we've been working a long time ago together. Do you recognize yourselves in these challenges that you hear here, and the way of approaching them?
Well, Riga is together, I think we would be more compared to Vilnius, because of course it's a capital city, and as already colleagues said, the smaller the scale and the larger the scale, the larger the problems are. And Riga, together with Riga metropolitan area, we are around close to 1 million inhabitants. So every day there are 200,000 people coming into Riga and out of Riga. So to tackle the climate mission and climate problem, in essence, actually, we need to think of new ways of governing public transport, which goes beyond borders of Riga, and also other investments that needs to be done outside Riga. Because, for example, if we talk about our backbone will be and is our public transport, we have actually quite good numbers. Before COVID, we were like 42% usage of public transport. COVID hit public transport heavily. It dropped by 30%, and now we are getting back, but not back online on usage of public transport. Not at the same level yet, but we have decreased the ticket price. We have introduced more frequent public transport, but anyway, people were suggested to take a car because it was more safe. And but we understand that if we want to bring metropolitan people who are living outside Riga, but working in Riga or studying, by public transport, there needs to be a very efficient multimodality, park and ride, last mile, first mile, around, not only in Riga city, but also Riga metropolitan area. So what is the good about climate mission? I agree that it brings us focusing forward and brings up new problems to be solved in different levels. And it also gives us this assurance that business as usual or running the city as usual will not be the case. And we need to change as a city administration, as a people who are working. There's new positions coming in, like we have a climate advisor, we have mobility people who start to think about multimodality, new piloting new things, innovations. So this climate mission brings us faster forward.
So the whole thing with the mission as such could also be something that is a driver for this change in itself. You were talking about organizational changes and so on. I know there are some changes within Estonia in the transport ministry, the department. So it's, is there something that, I mean, can you use this Mission City platform to actually speed up your own change?
Definitely, definitely. It makes us being more focused, think of, see different case studies from different cities, what different cities are doing, what worked out, what not. And I think in this way we will be definitely moving forward faster.
Interesting. Eva, you're not really representing a city here, but you are from Tartu, which is the mission city in Estonia.
Yes.
It's good to have you here. But from the mission cities, from a national governmental ministry perspective, how important is this?
Yes, it's very important because, as you said also, Ines said that it gives you focus where you want, what you want to achieve. And one thing for Estonia is very, very important to reach the climate goals that we have ahead of us. That was the one reason to form a Ministry of Climate, since it's relatively new, from 1st of July this year actually, where we have in the same ministry now environmental issues, and also we brought transport issues, energy issues, and also housing and building issues to the same ministry. So it is combined. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult because one part of the ministry wants to save the environment, the other part wants to build on it, but we try to manage that. And we noticed that all the targets for climate are all over the place. Some targets for transportation, some energy has their own targets. So now we are preparing a climate law of Estonia, which is starting with this. So we try to have one law to cover all the goals that we have. And regarding cities, of course, we as a government, we can make long plans, but actually the change is very much, it needs to happen also not in rural areas only, but also in the cities. So we are collaborating a lot with the cities. Yeah. We try to fund the projects that will help them to be more climate neutral.
You try and fund. Do you find that you do fund? Do you find that you do support the missions?
We do. Yeah. We try to fund, and we find funding for structural funds, for example. We are at the moment giving funds for the City of Tallinn to create new tram lines, for example. Yeah. And also we are giving funds to create bicycle lanes, because probably you are very aware of that when the scooters came, we can't have any more pedestrians and cyclists in the same roads. And we mostly in Estonia, we have the shared space for them, but it's causing a lot of problems because scooters are very speedy, and also we have electric bikes, bicycles. So we are trying to push also with investments to be cities to be more climate neutral.
You were mentioning e-bikes, so micromobility.
Yeah.
Is that something that's going to be part of this change? And how, I mean, that there was something that happened a few years ago from one night one day to another, a very disruptive thing. Suddenly we saw a lot of micromobility everywhere. In terms of being a future way, okay, so micromobility is also bikes. We've done that for a long time. But do you think micromobility, and also in terms of how we develop the public transport, is that going to be more combined, or what part could micromobility play more in this, and the companies that are actually pushing for micromobility? Yes, Eva?
I think micromobility is here to stay because people love their scooters, and what can we do is to make the safer, the roads, for example, and also maybe to collaborate with the companies who provide this shared bicycles, because for example, in Estonia, some areas where they're very crowded, the companies have lowered the speed, so people even can't speed up in the areas because they have this ability to do with it, and it's very, very good from them, and I think it helps a lot because I wouldn't think that we can ban them.
No. I don't think so either. It's there now, so we need to use it maybe. I was thinking, going back to Tauraghi, it's the, do you see that, is there in your city any special kind of models or vehicles that would be more important for the change to climate neutrality? I mean, decreasing cars, you mentioned that, but it's how is it the public transport, or how will we move around in this climate neutral city?
Actually, there was a very interesting moment about that micromobility, and I think when we touch this, we need to speak about the urbanization, like at the ground level. Because, you know, as Jan Gehl, you know, the Danish architect urbanist said, if the architects and urbanists have the main reason to create the cities that are most uncomfortable that could be, that's what we have right now. Because when we see at the old cities of the capitals or other cities of Europe, that's where we see the city made for people. And when we see at the new cities right now, or the new neighborhoods of cities, especially, you know, those old Soviet ones, that's where we create the reason for the car, and there is no micromobility at all. So when we are speaking about the micromobility and the future of our cities, and I think we need to go to the ground and speak about that urbanism, about the principles of urbanization, and about the principles of architecture. Because what we have now is just meant for the car. And what about our city? We are small, and we believe that I believe that it's going to be, you know, we cannot take the car out, because that's one of the things that we are comfortable for, right? And we don't want to lose that thing, because people are coming back, you know, it's hard, you know, but when they come back, they want to live comfortable. So we are looking forward, you know, to change all the cars to electric cars and have the pollution out, and then to deal with the transport issues. But also we have because we have one advantage, because in our city there's a lot of used car sellers, and we'll be the first ones, I guess, to make that big shift, because we're going to have really good price in that in the second market, electric car market, you know. So this is interesting to our city, you know, because a lot of people are selling cars and taking them from, you know, from France, from Germany, from Denmark, from United States. But that's an opportunity as well to try to reach the goal and change all the diesel cars into the electric cars, and then to bring them to the city life. So it's interesting how it's going on. But you know, for other mobility, you know, we don't need anything else that Vilnius do. It's quite simple and doable, and we just need to do it.
Is it quite simple? Is it doable?
No, not at all. Well, talking about, I cannot agree more with my colleague from Mayor of Tauraghe. Yes, micro movement measures is really important and new project right now. But talking what Vilnius is concerned is public transport fleet. It is highest priority now. So what we are doing right now is trying to buy 16 hydrogen buses, which is a pilot project, something new. So this will also contribute to zero emission since it's friendly for environment. Also, we are trying to renew our trolley bus park. So 91 buses are already coming and will be in the park like 2024, 2025 season. Also, we have around 400 buses, which is old and also need to be replaced. So we already operate around like 30 small buses, but this number will increase significantly in the future. Yeah, and also pedestrian roads and infrastructure for walking is also very important. Our research shows that almost 23% people choose to walk from one location to another, which is a lot, and we hope that this number will increase up to 30% as well. Yeah.
It seems like you have a very good understanding of what needs to be done and maybe how to do it as well. But do you find that, I mean, do you have the resources to do this? I don't think climate change, or climate adaptation or going climate neutral is not cheap, is it?
Yes, of course, it's challenging, but talking about Vilnius case, we are using different kind of financial instruments. So first of all, our budget is quite relatively big, so we're using part of it, but also we are using funding from EIB, EU funds, and so on. So yeah, it's challenging, but it's possible. Yeah.
Good to hear. You mentioned before, you mentioned Denmark, you mentioned US. I know you speak Danish. You lived in Copenhagen for 2 years, but other cities from yours out throughout Europe, how important is it to get to know what they are doing and maybe implement that, but also not least to turn it the other way around? What kind of good solutions are you or ideas are you having that you could provide to the rest of Europe? And maybe there could be some extra EU funding for that.
Well, I'm not sure that I will answer that in a way that you wanted me to answer, but I know that in a way I have been a part of Eurocities mobility network for a low emission zone introduction. And I know also that Lithuania and Vilnius has high ambition to introduce low emission zone by 2025, I heard. Yeah. In Riga, we are planning to introduce it by 2027. And when I started to work with this question, I think 2 years ago, I thought I will be doing it by 2025. But as more in the forest I went, more trees I saw, and I understood that it is a potential for Riga to move faster forward in the climate mission. But in the same time, it is very important for the health for our citizens to introduce low emission zone to make decrease pollution. And it is bringing also a lot of innovations into the solutions. But in the same time, it will also be kind of a penalty for people using cars on a daily basis. And we understood that we need to work a lot with the education of citizens about car usage. And there we are talking more about air pollution and health than about climate, because you cannot be against somebody's health or being more healthy. About the climate, you always have a very different discussion. And we are not at the moment, have not introduced it, and I will follow very closely Vilnius and cooperate and see. We are already, our people are cooperating, sharing information and research. How will Vilnius be achieving it? And I think if our cities will do it by 25 or 27, we will be doing a lot ahead in the climate topic as well.
But so you are putting a platform for collaboration in place already. Is Liepāja also included in that one?
Sorry?
Is Liepāja also included in?
Liepāja is not talking about the low emission zone, but Vilnius and Riga on the specialist level are talking about it.
I think that what we are talking about, that low emission zone, is just yesterday. It's old.
It's yesterday.
It doesn't matter anymore. We're gonna have like we have to talk about the car-free zones, not the low emission zones, because it doesn't matter. It's going to be the shift that's going to be that fast that we're going to speak a lot about that low emission, and we see that we don't have that emission cars anymore. No. So I think that we have to go even, to skip this step.
But first you need to do one step, and then you can do the next step as well.
But it's interesting to hear your view on that, since there is a lot of cities now including these emission zones into their SUMPs, their plans for urban development, and but it's also good
it's a hard discussion. We have the same discussion about one street in our city, and when the government introduced that low emission zone that we have to do, we were trying to have a conversation with the citizens, and when you say that this street is going to be this street which is used for car and car parking, we're going to close it, and then people why? Why you have to close it? Because it's not good for pedestrian, it's not good for businesses, it's good only for cars. So we have to change, and we have first of all we have to change the infrastructure in the street, and then show, look, would you like to have this, which is car-free and beautiful, and this is good for pedestrian, good for children, good for spending time or whatever, and not only to have strictly a low-emission zone. It's just.
You sound very convinced. I think this is a topic for another panel, Mary. So that's good. Super good. Again, the collaboration. I know you cannot speak for Lithuania or Latvia, but. Do you, does Estonia in any way, how should I say, try to make more of collaborations between countries in terms of the mission cities and use this platform again as a reason to do that?
Yes, definitely we are doing this, but it's, for example, Tallinn and Helsinki. I know Tallinn is not a mission country, but collaborating very much with Helsinki. And a few years ago, we had this project to have a combined public transport ticket. So, because if you go to the foreign country, then you want to use public transportation, but you don't know how to use it. Because should I download an app, or should I buy, where is a kiosk to buy a ticket? Can I buy a ticket from the driver? So we did this project between Tallinn and Helsinki, and the result is that if you have a public transport card of Tallinn, you can buy a ticket to this card for Helsinki and vice versa. And it seems like a very easy thing to do, but actually the background systems are very difficult, the IT systems, who owns who money. And speaking about collaboration, it's sometimes even difficult inside Estonia. The city ends and the next local government starts. They have different budgets. Yep. And even this cross-border collaboration is sometimes difficult to have.
That's on between two nations. Yeah. I think you were touching on it, Denise, before that it might even be a problem in one and the same country to go over municipality, cross the borders there. What would be a solution? Because it sounds very interesting that you can, I think this is, I understand it as a collaboration between the public transport authorities, or trying to get this in place?
Yes, there was collaboration. You mean between Finland and Estonia, the Tallinn, Helsinki, and Tartu was also actually part of this project, because we have common ticketing system in Estonia for public transportation, so that's why Tartu was also part of it. But there were local governments involved, and also the companies who provide ticketing solution for the public transportation. So it was kind of public-private collaboration for that.
You wanted to say before I saw it was on.
Yeah, just would like to add up that collaboration between in the whole our region is really important. We already have very strong ties with Riga in regards to matters related to parking issues and the low emission zone. Also, we have strong communication with Helsinki. Electrification of the public transport as well, but I think we should not limit ourselves with only these formats, but try to look for opportunities to create bigger formats. Include Sweden, Denmark. I guess they have lots of things to say, and we can learn from each other in public transport and zero emission matters. Yeah, this is very important.
So if I invite you to our collaboration down in Öresund with the 4 mission cities around there, you'll be happy to join there. And,
yeah, of course.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay, so I was thinking a bit about the. As I said before, you have a lot of. We're coming back to that. You have a lot of ideas. You have a very good. I mean, it feels like you're comfortable in what needs to be done. But what are we lacking? What is it? Is it resources, or is it time, or what are we lacking? How do we speed up this? Because, as I said, 2030 is almost like tomorrow. No one wants to talk.
Okay. Maybe I can start. First of all, I think we need to have the very precise goal where we're going. That one we have. Then, of course, we need to see what is the most beneficial things that we can do. What we have found out is that we have tried out free public transportation. Actually, it's not working when you don't raise the quality. When you could do those things combined, raise the quality and have free, maybe that would work. Okay. Because we have now we had in rural areas in Estonia, we had free public transportation since 2018, but now from next year we will remove it. So the ticket prices will come back because it's very expensive to have free rides, and you cannot at the same time to develop the service. What the city of Tartu did was that they totally rearranged their public transport network. They took a lot of time to do that. They used all the different data that they had, mobile positioning. They constantly were in contact with the citizens. Of course, people were angry because people don't like a change, actually. So they did it really slowly and thoroughly. And now, when new lines are in place, people are so happy. And they use much more public transportation in Tartu. It's not free, but because the quality is better, it's much more important.
In terms of quality, I need to ask also accessibility. Is it more accessible? Because I mean, even the, how should I say, the economical side of is also, I mean, having free transport sounds like it would be more accessible, but you said it's not.
Actually, what happened is that, of course, numbers raised, but it turned out that people who used to walk now hop onto the bus and try just 1 or 2 stops that they used to walk. So that was the problem. And for example, in Tallinn, the rise of the car usage is still growing. And this is also maybe one issue that people move a little bit outside of the city and they commute.
I understand.
Because the land is cheaper there.
Life is cheaper there, and could that also be part of a, I mean, in terms of changing a behavior, subsidiaries, incentives, and so on, how much do you think that is going to play part in this change towards more sustainable mobility and hopefully climate neutrality 2030? Incentives, how do we make people, because it's also, I need to mention, we were talking about the e-scooters. From one day to another, we saw a lot of people embracing e-scooters, and they changed their use of vehicle or modality from one day to another. Maybe a lot of younger people, but still, what happened there? What was it that changed their behavior?
Just a few observations. I think we should start talking from changing people's habits and educate society, first of all. So this is why the international formats is very important, because, for example, in Lithuania, we still have that way of thinking that powerful car powered by gasoline or petrol is very important in everyday's life. So despite the fact that it is standing in the traffic jam and it is polluting air, but still it's very difficult to convince people to go to the public transport or to choose more friendly for environment like cars or different measures. So yeah, education and but it's not happening through the day. So we need years to change the attitude, and this is why the Scandinavian experience here is very important, since we do not observe this trend in Scandinavian countries. So many of them choosing, like people choosing alternative way of measures or ecological transport. Yeah, so thank you.
Is this something that is it different for a maybe a bit smaller city, or I mean you cannot just go out there and nudge people, or no?
No, it's the same, because it's very easy to make easy decisions. It's very easy to give like 5,000 euros subsidy to buy a new car which is electric. It's a very easy decision, but it's very hard decision to narrow the streets, to make more space for pedestrian, to make more space for bicycle lanes, and to give less space to the cars. It's a very hard decision. And what we are lacking in this challenge, which is the biggest challenge, is behavioral change of people, which is the most important thing, I guess, in that climate neutrality. And we are lacking courageous political decisions, I guess, because there are need of a lot of them, but it's going up little by little with the good examples. That's where the collaboration is the key role, because when you come up, when the politicians come up with an idea or a dream, I have this and that, and and it's going to be like that, and people, they say, look at you, and we don't need it, we don't like it, shut up. But when you say, that, look, but they did the same in Tallinn, they did the same in Riga, they did the same in Malaga, they did the same in Barcelona, Paris, or whatever, then people start listening, because it's not your idea. Because when you come up with your idea, people don't like it. So you have to make, somehow it's that people are doing that already, but we need to think maybe we can do even better. So, and in that challenge, what's the most important thing is that we are still lacking people in municipalities and the specialist level that have the basic sustainable philosophy, horizontal philosophy over all fields, because as I told you, it's very easy to make decisions based on economy, to invest more in energy and have a renewable energy, and then it's economical friendly and everybody is happy. But it's very hard to make the philosophical change and behavioral change.
I think that what you're talking about, of course, is the philosophy. Super good, but just going back to our senses, is between citizens, politicians, civil servants, and so on. Is there even, because I mean the mission cities is something that want to push this change because we see it's imminent, something needs to be done now, but is there really a sense of urgency between people, politicians, and do we really realize that we need to do this now? Time is working against us. Not only 2030, but also here, so I see now in my view. But so the sense of urgency, yes, I would very much like to talk about that, but at the same time to round off a bit, what do you see would be not an easy way, but something that could, push this change? What would you like to see in place as soon as possible? And that could also, of course, for example, there's an EU mission, but at the same time, is EU really supporting this mission? Or what needs to be in place? It needs to start with you.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
As for Riga, we are already using Recovery and Resilience Fund for sustainable mobility, and in the next years we will invest close to 300 million euros in tram lines, rapid transit bus line, sustainable bicycle line, so convenient. So I think that the car drivers need to see that actually it is faster to move by bus or by tram, and that they don't stand in the traffic jams, and or by other means like bicycle or foot. So I think this heavy investment and having this mission, and we have been meeting with EU commissioners, and they appreciate that Riga is and Liepa is part of the mission, and they talk on national level and say, well, the guys need support also on the national level. So I think the mission definitely brings us forward for sustainable mobility.
Good, thank you. Dovidas, 30 seconds.
Yeah, we start from the slogan that we have, that Tauragė. Maybe we are too small to change the world, but we are big enough to show example. And I think when we will have that sandbox mode in all the people that are working towards sustainability, that will bring better people, that will bring better investment, that will bring better decisions, and that will bring everything together. And in the long term, we're gonna reach the goals. I think everything starts from the philosophy and then goes horizontal.
Eva,
I think
25 seconds.
Yes, I think as you so well put that, we have to be brave to make decisions and stick to them, because we are still very car-centric, and if we are brave enough to say it out loud, that the world has changed and we will change, and also be brave and have funds also to get this change to get live, then I think we are on a track.
Excellent. Andreas, last words.
Yeah, just a few things. So I would say that good conditions for pedestrians, for walking, for bicycles, for alternative way of moving, and for electric cars. So, and changing attitude of the society and educating the society is really important here. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We need to round off there, but a very good talk, I think. And going back to be brave, and what did you say, have fun? I need to quote one of my colleagues. He sometimes, when we don't move fast ahead, he says that, are we here to just have fun or really make a change? But I think if we do make change, we will have a lot more fun. So thank you again, and thank you, Vilnius, again for having us here. Thank you very much, the audience. Happy to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.